Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your hostess with the mostest. It's PKR, Pastor Keenan Riley, back with another episode of People Suck, Love Them Anyways. And as always, I am joined by my sidekick, Nick. Nick, man, what's happening? It's Monday night, not Tuesday night. It's the beginning of a new week. How you feeling, man? And give me not a great
Not
answer.
a great answer. I mean,
No, not a gray answer.
Oh.
I need a great
Like, not a
answer.
great answer.
I need a great answer, but not a gray answer. You
No,
feel
I
me?
mean, they're pretty good. I mean, I'm thankful that we had a couple warmer days. It was kind of icy and snowy and rainy and dark and dreary. So I mean, the days have been great, but you know, it's been pretty rough weather-wise, but not too bad aside from that.
I feel like we plateaued like about Wednesday of last week, maybe Thursday. It was like really cold to start the week, and then by like Wednesday, Thursday, it was like bam, 60 degrees. I'm wearing shorts. I ain't even gonna lie about it. I'm just trying to enjoy myself, and then you just get smacked on Sunday morning, man. It's like 40 degrees, misting, like 20-mile-an-hour winds. You know, whatever. I've always said if I could control the weather, it'd be 75, sunny, 5 days a week. Wind out of the southwest at about 7 miles an hour. And then I would gladly give 2 days a week, every week, just to have a little bit of rain, you know. And I feel like that would be great. I don't know what plants I would kill. I don't know how the ecosystem would respond to that.
Farming may not appreciate it.
Yeah, but I feel like that we would be. I feel like we'd be good for a little bit, anyways, maybe a week or two. So
I mean, I'd be fine with it. No, I mean, it ain't gonna be any chip off my shoulder.
Right.
I'm fine with it staying sunny, maybe a little rain, but that's it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would gladly do like a 5-2 split, and I feel like that's a good thing, but maybe not. I'm not Jesus Christ, you know. So I don't know how all that's going to work out, but nonetheless, I hope that everybody had a blessed week, man. And you know, this is we skipped last week just because of you know, a conflict of scheduling and things like that. But this week, tonight, as we tape and as we release, this is our 100th episode of people. Yeah, of People Suck, Love Them Anyways / the Everyday Christian. You know, for you guys who are just starting to follow us, you know, we started out as the Everyday Christian way back when, about 2 years ago almost. And and then we kind of flipped it up at the start of 23, renamed it to People Suck, Love Them Anyways, because we figured out that's probably the most truest statement of all time. And will one day be a t-shirt, I feel like. But we flipped it up, and from there, man, we just started covering a variety of different things. And honestly, 23 is where I feel like that we took off the most. I mean, I feel like 22, Nick, we were kind of like, you know, we were starting out. We were trying to, we were trying to figure out a lot of things. But the demographics of who we were reaching, to me, were pretty self-explanatory that we needed to do something different. You know, that we were hitting the Christian folks, which is a good thing. But I don't give you a lot of credit most days. But
don't give myself much
one piece of credit that I will always give you is the statement that's kind of hung on with me whenever we were talking about church, and you were like, you know, the point of church is not getting people from other churches to come to your church, but it's to evangelize the lost, you know. And that's where we really kind of sat down and started thinking about, like, hey, man, like, we're reaching church people. That's cool. But what about people who don't know who Jesus is? Or what about people who are literally just out there trying to survive every day? You know, what about reaching those people who might not know anything about it? Let's go across the aisle. Let's reach across that divide, and let's start talking to those people. And let's just, you know, let's make church fun, man. Let's make Jesus fun. Let's make, you know, I'm not saying that every day is going to be a holiday, but at the same point in time, we need to have real conversations, and we need to connect them to the world the best way possible. And if not, then we're missing a whole demographic of people. So in those terms, we went back, we rebranded, we figured out some stuff, and now a year later, where are the statistics, man? I always misquote them every time I say them, so I leave that part to you, to where you can tell it.
Probably should have memorized them before I left my phone down there to record us. Hi, everybody who could possibly be watching, viewing. We're going to see if this works. but cheers. You know, yeah, cheers to you guys. But I do know that we officially passed, you know, the amount of states that we were in. We were in about 35 35, 36 states. I know we're in one more country than we are states now.
I thought it was like 36, 33. I thought it was like 36 countries, 33 states or something.
No, it's 30. It's at least it's either 37, 36 or 36, 35. It's one of those two.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah,
you know more about it.
Yeah,
than
we're
I do.
blowing up. We've been in Madagascar. We've been in India a lot. Actually, we're very thankful for the Indian audience. They've been blowing us up.
I appreciate that, man.
Uzbekistan, Laos. We've been all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. And again, I don't know if these are English speaking people while listening to us.
There's got to be. I feel like.
I assume so. I don't know. But I would assume, maybe it's all the missionaries over there in those countries, but just listening to us. And,
could be.
Yeah, I don't know. But regardless, we're thankful. Thankful to not only have a statewide audience or a nationwide audience, but also a worldwide audience.
Global.
Yeah, Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide 305.
Yep, absolutely.
Shout out Pitbull. Nonetheless, man.
Yeah. But no, yeah,
it's amazing. It really is amazing. And I was thinking about, like, just from the start to now, I was thinking about, like, Sunday from the message, and different things like that, where it was like, man, we started this, and we've always said that persistence, consistency, things like that are always the key to accomplishing anything. And it would have been so easy after year one to look at the info and say, what are we doing? And why are we doing this for? But, and then to get down about it because, our range of audience over year one was not great. It would have been easy to quit. I had to, pull Nick back from the ledge multiple times. He was ready to walk out. I bought him a Dairy Queen gift card. He's back now.
Hallelujah.
Ready to go. And, year two, man, we just totally switched up everything and started doing a lot of different geared stuff, whether it be theories on stuff, whether it be just what's going on in the world, a little bit of humor. Yeah, a lot of guests, a lot of humor, or a lot of slapstick comedy, whatever you want to call it. Some people may not think we're funny. That's fine.
You're wrong. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your opinion does not matter. So there's that. But we switched it up, and honestly, like it got me to thinking about how you can't really judge your circumstances on, like, one episode, one day, one moment, one opportunity, whatever. And it's like you have to always go back to the drawing board and look at what you can do different and how you can be different and things like that. I was actually listening to a video today about a gentleman who's he's successful now, but it always seems like that those successful people, whether it be in business, whether it be in just whatever jobs or life or whatever, man, but it always seems like the successful people, Nick, have like this underdog story most of the time. And this gentleman I was listening to today, he was talking about how his wife, they were childhood sweethearts. He had spent like years convincing her that he was going to be successful one day, and all of this stuff was going to work out. He was very business oriented and things, and he said, within the first 6 months of their marriage, he had lost everything. Their car got repoed. Their electricity and water had been turned off. They'd been kicked out. He was living in an apartment, and with her, and he said, it was so bad that they would literally go down to the pool area where you showered off at after you got out of the pool. And he said we would take turns taking showers in those pool area showers. And he said I would hold the towel while she took a shower. She would hold the towel while I took a shower. And he said, it's just moments like that where that qualifies people to be able to tell that underdog story and to help other people along the way now. And that really got me thinking just about our church, just about our journey, just about the podcast and things like that, where, we literally have come from nothing. And it's not saying that we've arrived and we have, we're blown up and going, all of this different stuff. But like, I think about where we were 2 years ago, and we were in a small room with a phone, and it sounded horrible. Everything about it was horrible. We knew nothing about promotion. We knew nothing about what to do. And like from there in 2 years, you're talking about spanning 36, 37 different countries, in 2 years. And to me, like, it just puts into proportion or into like perspective, I've not read my thesaurus lately.
Apparently.
It puts it into context there. I will put it that way. It puts it into context really about how important not giving up is. How important putting one foot in front of the other and keeping on going and trying and figuring out different ways and knowing that, if God set the task before you, that, like we talked about on Sunday, that God's already filtered out the battles to know that you will make it and you will go through it. It's just, are you willing to go through it and not give up in the process?
Yeah, I mean, that's always been one of my favorite Craig Rochelle quotes, is that, great leaders do consistently what others do occasionally. And I think it's very important to be consistent in everything that you do, and I think any business leader, most of the self-help gurus, books, podcasts out there, most of them are going to say basically the same thing, which is just going to come down to, find what you love and do it consistently.
Yeah.
And you may take you a while. I think a lot of people they find this idea of just overnight success just so alluring that if they don't achieve it, then they just give up immediately. They think, I'm supposed to get 1 million views in my first 5 videos, and then I'm going to blow up. And I mean, not to say stuff like that doesn't happen. I mean, not to go too worldly. But I mean, these things they take time. And I know this is going to blow off a couple people in the audience, but like Matt Rife he's a famous comedian right now.
Yeah. I know that story.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've
heard
crazy.
that story.
I mean, the dude was, his mom took him to clubs because he couldn't legally get in by himself.
Yeah.
He was up there doing stand-up comedy, time after time. He got a couple of good breaks, in that Wild 'N Out show on MTV.
Right.
But I mean, still, he was making, I think I listened to a John Chris podcast. They were saying that he was making, maybe $45,000 a year.
Yeah, I think it was
until
like 40,
last year.
40.
And they said last year he went up into the millions, like overnight. Overnight he flipped that. And I think, a lot of us will just see that. They see that overnight flip, just boom. They go from, doing nothing to all of a sudden being big and, crazy. But they don't see all that work that was put in the background.
I think
the time and effort it took to get there, and the consistency.
That's the perspective of a lot of people. So like a lot of people will look and go and be like, oh man, like, if you can do it, and I'm not saying like if you can do it, nobody or anybody can do it. Like we hear that quote a lot. If you can do it, anybody can do it. And I think that's true. But I also think that like people look and they assume that like, well, all of this, like you said, just happened overnight. It's just oh well, here we are. This happened today. Everything's good, and bam, we just blew up. And it doesn't work like that. Like everything. That you see before you, there was an amount of work that was put in underneath, behind the scenes, that nobody else was willing to do. Nobody else was willing to take the reins. Like even just with this podcast, like took the reins and said, all right, every week, every Monday or Tuesday or Thursday, we'll find a day, whatever. We're going to find a day to devote, an hour, hour and a half, whatever, 2 hours to doing this every single week. With our church services, we're going to find a way to devote every Wednesday and Sunday to coming in here and making them better. How do we make them better? And we just talked about this beforehand. Our viewership over the last 6 months has increased dramatically. I would say at least 2 to 3 times what it was over the last 6 months. Now, what is that exactly? We have invested. We've invested in cameras. We've invested in sound. We've invested in lighting. We've invested in mics. We've invested, we've invested to where now it's like you're starting to see the payoff of what you invested, to see the quality that it's bringing forth. And I think that is I think that's like a stepping stone, a building block, a point, whatever you want to call it, in the how do I want to say this? Help me. In the journey of making it to success, or seeing the fruits of your labor, however you want to say that. It's an important aspect that I think that everybody needs to understand, is that 9 times out of 10, overnight success is not overnight. It is literally a journey that has seen a lot of failures. It's seen a lot of hardships and a lot of valleys, like what we talked about on Sunday. But those valleys is where the valley is where you do the work. The valley is where you as we've said, you practice your praise so you can show it off on the mountaintop. The valley is where you're really behind the scenes, just grinding and gritting it out, to where you're just like, once I get up here on this mountaintop, I'm going to look successful, but it's not because I didn't put in the work in the valley. You know?
Exactly. I think a lot of different things in our lives are kind of in that same, idea. Just taking church service for an example. You have a lot of people who probably come in every Sunday, Wednesday, whenever. And everything's already set up for them. They come in 5 minutes before it starts. Everything's set up, lights are on, music's playing. Sometimes last week it was kind of
Just
hard.
depends.
But
It's
yeah,
all a
again,
crapshoot, man.
So but again, people don't know that. People expect. They're so used to just walking in and things being set up and ready to go. They don't think about all the work and time and effort it took in the background, or 2 hours before to get ready, and the practice that the worship team may put in on Wednesday nights, and just all the different things that go into making what people see.
Yeah.
It's just like
success.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you take movies, you take songs, you take anything, careers, all these sorts of things that we just look at and we're like, man, it must be nice to be there. But we neglect to ask ourselves the question, what did it take to get there?
Right.
We don't sit there and talk to these people and say, what did you do? What did you go through? What did you learn? What failures did you experience? And if you really sit down and talk to a lot of these business leaders, these church leaders, these gurus, these famous people, a lot of them had to go through, crap shows time after time after time after time, just barely scraping by with nothing. I mean, Craig Rochelle started Life Church in a garage with a projector, like, one of those old film projector, like you just put it on there. And I mean, now he he was the first, church to kind of go multi-location. And now he's got more locations almost than any other church. And he created the Bible app that everybody uses. And, just so many different things that you see the success, you just don't see the work. You don't see what happened in the valley because you can only see the mountaintop. That valley's down low in between mountains. You can't really see it. But it's important to also recognize and understand that stuff does happen.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about like just starting out small like that. I mean, like for us, like we started in the backyard, of a parishioner, of a parishioner's, house, and like we had 8-10 people sitting there on that Sunday, and it makes me think like even today where it's like. We still don't, have our own per se building. We rent a building every single month. We've been here in this location for the last 7 years. The people who own it have been fairly decent to us for the most part. And it's like it's one of those things where we had a bunch of new people on Sunday that I've never seen before in my life. But it makes me wonder also. How many people, if we were still meeting in that backyard, how many people would be like, oh, that sounds amazing. It's going to be 42 Sunday with a mist and a 20-mile-an-hour wind. I think I want to go to this church located in the backyard and just see what Jesus is all about. So,
for a football game.
Well, this is true. I mean, we've preached about that many a times, but you might get to see Taylor. Who knows? But, so like on Sundays here now where people might come in for the first time and, the signs are lit up and the lights are going and the stage is buzzing. Like you said, the music is on, the atmosphere, there's donuts, there's coffee, there's people, smiling and all of this good stuff. And it's like, oh, wow. But it's like you didn't see the 7 years that was put in beforehand to get to this point right here. You didn't even see the 2 hours before, at this moment where, we were just getting here, turning on the lights and setting everything up and making sure everything's functional. And, what kind of rat's nest are we going to run into today? Is
Do we have heat in the kids' room?
Yeah. Is the audio going to work right?
Is the audio going to work?
Did an amp blow up? I mean, like there's
coffee pot work.
Yeah. I mean, there's always like something. There's always going to be a snag, man, that happens. But it's like, for the most part, whenever you come in and sit down or with anything, whenever you see something roll off, whether it's a show, like you said, a song or whatever, man, it's like you don't know every blood, sweat, tear situation that went into that, every minute, every ounce of energy that went into that to make it successful, and it's like a lot of people want to be where you are, but a lot of people don't have the mentality that you do, and that's one thing that I will always, man, like always, and I don't know if it's a good thing. I know a lot of people will probably be like, yeah, you're just stubborn as hell, and it's like, that's fine. That's fair. But like, that's one thing, man, that I will always hang my hat on is that the determination of when I start something, I will see it through, like it may kill me in the process, but I will, like, if I'm I feel like headstrong maybe is the word, instead of stubborn, maybe, but like that's something that I'm just so passionate about. Like, even if it's a God calling, I said this on the radio, for the people who, again, may listen to this for the first time or may watch this video for the first time. We do a radio show every Sunday morning for our local radio station for the church. And, I said this on the radio station. I said, if there was a lot of other people in our position in this church wouldn't be here today. Simply because I make no bones about it. I say this freely in front of everybody. The town that we are in is not the most inviting or loving or warming town that there is whenever it comes to introducing something new. And so, in this journey, you've had to have a lot of thick skin. You've had to repair feelings. You've had to do a lot of praying. And just, being able to understand that, God has a work, he has a calling. And that, like we learned on Sunday through 1 Corinthians 10:13, that he's already filtered the fight that you're in, which means that he's already seen it, and he's already picked out the things that would kill you, or that would destroy you, or that would literally take every ounce of energy from you. He's filtered those out, and the fight that you're facing will not overtake you because God knows what you're capable of. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that I feel like that that as just humans in general, that we have to get a better concept of what we're capable of,
Yeah, I think so many people discount their worth, and we've talked about that time and time and time again. But I mean, there's so many people out there that, they become addicted because they're trying to cover up, their insecurities, or they're trying to cover up their failures or their flaws or their faults. They don't believe that they can accomplish more. I mean, we won't talk about that because we both have that problem. So we don't talk about things we have problems with. Yeah, right.
Everybody else.
Yeah. Everybody else sucks.
You suck. Yeah, there you
go. But I mean, there's people out there who have pain, who have insecurities, who have things going on, and they feel like they can't handle it. And I think it's what I'm trying to get at. Is, they think they can't make it alone. They think they can't get it through the day without, a little extra boost, without, a little bit of caffeine. We'll talk about ourselves there a little bit. But, without nicotine, without alcohol, without, opiates, without whatever else. There's so many different people out there that are struggling with food. With so many different things.
I love food,
right?
Man.
Food is pretty good. I can't say I'm addicted to food, but I mean, it is pretty good.
You're too picky to be addicted to food.
I'm way too picky to be addicted to food.
Yeah.
But I think it's just important for us to know that there are people out there that are hurting, that are desperate for the answers that we as Christians have. And we talk about this time and time again, that we have that hope that surpasses their own understanding. And it's our job to spread that to those people, and that's why ministries in jails, prisons, rehabs, like you did at Isaiah House not too long ago. So many different things
that was cool.
Like that are just so important because we're meeting these people where they're at. We're not treating them like they're diseased. We're not treating them like they're less than. We're not treating them like they're the other people. We're treating them as just as we are. We've all been addicted to something, I think, in our lives. Whether it's social media, whether it's our phones, whether it's movies, pornography, cocaine, whatever it is. Something you're addicted to something out there, and I think we can all relate to that itch that just won't go away. That thing that we're always reaching for, that thing we're always grabbing at. And I think that's something that we can all kind of relate to, and it's important for us to use those situations, use those faults, use those those falling shorts as testimonies to say, yes, I struggle with this, but God has provided me with a way out. God says that, I've filtered the fight. You're not going to deal with more than you can handle. That relationship is not going to kill you. That divorce is not going to kill you. That new job or that being fired is not going to kill you. It's not going to end you. But again, so many people run to other answers after that. They get a divorce. They don't think they can handle it without the use of bourbon, or, they get bad news about a job or a bad doctor report. And so they don't think they can handle that without, shooting up heroin or, something else like that. And
and this is just go that drastic.
I mean, I just want to go big or go home. I think that's just the idea there. Go big or go home.
You're gonna have surgery on that hangnail, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
Ingrown toenail. Oh God!
Oh God!
Heat the spoon up.
Just snorting it. But anyway, I think it's just important for us to remember that again. God has filtered our fight. God knows what we can handle. God, as the Bible says, He's not going to allow you to be tempted past what you can handle. Which means that temptation, that drug, that alcohol, that video, whatever it may be, you have the power within you if you reside in and trust in and lean on God to say no to those things.
Right.
And in return, God is going to protect you from fights and battles that you can't handle.
Yeah.
And I think that we just have to remember that we have to lean into God, lean into what He says. Here in 1 Corinthians 10, and just really lean into what He's saying and believe it, and tell ourselves that every day. Say, hey, this may be rough, but it and I think this is one of the biggest things. And you kind of introduced it a little bit on Sunday, but like just the idea of hey, God must think that I'm stronger than I think I am.
Right.
And I think that is something that should empower each and every one of us as a believer. And if you're not a believer, listening, watching, whatever you're doing, just understand that God says that you can handle more than you feel like you can handle. Those fights, those battles that you're going through right now, you can actually get through them.
Yeah.
They're not meant to kill you. God's plan for you is to not let that battle kill you. He doesn't want that to hurt you. He doesn't want that to tear you down, because He knows you can handle more than that. But again, sometimes you just have to lean on Him, and He will provide you with more strength than you knew you had.
Yeah, and that's where, like, I think even at the beginning we were talking about giving your own self credit, and really, saying, hey, look, like, God can do it, but God believes in you too.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that maybe, I don't know if you call it self motivation or how you really feel about
positive affirmation.
Yeah, of yourself. It's just
spiritual
like
affirmation.
We and I even had a conversation this morning. I got a buddy who's a tattoo artist, and we were conversing back and forth. He sent me his bio this morning. He's building a website, and he sent me his bio about himself. And he said, dude, he said, critique this, tell me that. So, like, I read it, and I wrote the first paragraph back to him, and I said, how does this sound? He's like, it's amazing. He's like, I'll pay you to write it. And I'm like, no, you don't have to pay me. Like, I'll get it figured out for you.
Free tattoo.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like, get me inked, bro. Get me inked. But no, I was like, I said, I'll figure it out for you, no problem, man. And and so he was like, he said, man, he said, he's like, I wish I had somebody asking me the question so I could, kind of give the answers and so on and so forth. And I said, man, the problem that we have a lot of times is that whenever we're writing stuff about ourselves or saying stuff about ourselves, we short sell or short change ourselves, because we don't want to sound too prideful or too puffed up. And it makes really
it worse when we fail, I think.
But I think it's also like a deflection mechanism too, because like, people, so like, for an example, like, people may come up on Sundays, very rarely, it'd be like, man, it's like you did a heck of a job today. Great message, whatever. My deflection is always, oh, well, I mean, it's all God, nothing to do with me, man. It's all God, this, that, and the other. That in turn is true. It is all God. God gave me the calling. God gave me the breath. God gave me the health. God gave me the message. God gave me everything that transpired in here.
It's okay to say thank you every once in a while.
It is, and I think that's what we need to normalize to a certain extent. Of it's okay to be like, you know what, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We have to be able to not let it, to understand that it's okay to take a compliment, and it's okay to be receptive of a compliment and be like, man, okay, I appreciate that. Like, I appreciate you saying I did a good job. I felt like I did a good job today. And to understand that God gave you the capability to be able to do that. And so I told him, I said, a lot of times we just shortchange ourselves because we don't want to sound prideful, and we don't want to sound like, like we're just beating our own drum, tooting our own horn, beating our horn. Is that a thing?
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, a horn does
you can beat a horn.
Yeah, you can beat it, and then it beeps maybe when you beat it.
Yeah,
maybe.
I've hit my car horn pretty hard before.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and then it beeps. Yeah. So yeah, I was right. And see, that's what I'm saying. I can talk around it enough where I can make it sound right. But we have to be able to accept that compliment, but we also have to be able to understand that God believes in us, that God believes in us, that God has called us, and that God has given us abilities and capabilities, and God has given us the. I feel like He's given us all different gifts. He's given us all different things to be able to relate to people, to connect to people, and to be able to do that. And we have to be more accepting of that. We have to be able to be more accepting. So I want to read just what we read Sunday, and then we can kind of talk about that just for a second. But it says, we all experience, this is 1 Corinthians 10:13, we all experience times of testing, which is normal for every human being. But God will be faithful to you. He will screen and filter the severity, the nature, and the timing of every test or trial you face so that you can bear it. What does that mean? So that you can go through it. And each test is an opportunity to trust Him more. For along with every trial, God has provided for you a way of escape that will bring you out of it victoriously. Now that's amazing to me that God has filtered it. It says He filters it for the severity, the nature, and the timing, which means He filters how bad it is, He filters what it is, and then He filters when it is to be able so that you can handle it. And it's like we think a lot of times, Nick, that it's like, oh, I'm just going out of one storm into another storm and one battle into another battle. And true, you may be, but it's like whenever God is doing this, He's doing this to prove and to show to you that you are strong enough, you are capable enough, you are smart enough, you are determined enough, you are committed enough, and that He's trusting you to go through this. And that to me is like an ultimate compliment. When somebody trust you with something. I'm going to give you really secretive information. I trust that you'll tell nobody. That makes me feel good. But whenever I hear God trusts me to go through this, to give Him the glory afterwards, that's a whole different amount, whole different context of what a compliment truly means, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting complimented by the creator of the universe.
Right.
I mean, being an entity that created, the entire universe, and as the book of Genesis says, 6 days. And I think it's just very important, to not, I mean, because I think it's important to take compliments from anyone, whether it's, your boyfriend, your wife, your coworker, your boss, your pastor, your friend, whoever. It's very, very difficult to take compliments, period.
Let me say this, and then you can, because if I don't say it, I'll forget it. I think it's cool to take compliments, but I also think you need to watch who you take criticism from and who you let critique you, because not everybody who critiques you is going to invest in you. And investing, like I've always said, investment is something like you've got skin in the game now. It's important. That person is important to you. So if you have somebody that is willing to shout you down and say you did amazing, but yet at the same point in time, they're going to be there with you whenever you fall short, do something wrong, and they're going to be like, yo, I love you so much. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to stay by you until you get back to that, that mountaintop. Take that critique. Take that time. But people that just, you and we've all experienced this, these online haters, we call them keyboard warriors or whatever else, that are going to come your way and be like, oh, I hate this, and you do this wrong, and you said this wrong, and everything else, and then 2 weeks later, you never hear from them again or whatever. Like, you just got to take that criticism and that critiqueness right there and just with a grain of salt and move on with your life. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think even in the same tone of what you're talking about, there's so many people out there that are just critiquing to critique. They're not critiquing to grow. They're not critiquing to help. They're not critiquing to inspire or motivate or any. They're put. I think we experience that every day. No matter how old you are. I mean, you have people in kindergarten, critiquing you on the playground. You have people in your workplace critiquing you, for everything that you do.
Those monkey bars.
You're not strong enough. You're weak.
Yeah,
my dad's stronger than you are.
But
and I think it's just important though to remember that there are people that I think it depends on their level of investment in you. Whether or not you trust that person, whether or not you believe that person is telling you the truth to help you, to motivate you, to inspire you to be better. Just like with the compliments, because people can give you compliments backhanded too. They can give you backhanded compliments, and
what
just
does that
try
mean?
just like if somebody's gonna compliment you sarcastically, I guess, just to be like,
I feel you.
Oh yeah, you did a great job,
yeah.
And then they go talk bad about you behind your
back. Right. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
There's a lot of people out there, so you have to be careful. And again, that's why you have to filter. We talk about this all the time, about praying and filtering what other people say to you, what you are consuming. Filter it through the Word of God. Filter it through God's. If somebody is speaking prophecy over your life, filter it through what God has to say.
Right.
If somebody's speaking prophecy over your church, filter it through what God has to say.
Everybody's going to be driving Bentleys.
Yeah.
Like, where's that?
Where's that in the Bible? I don't remember seeing. What time is that?
Let me find that.
I think it's just important for us to make sure, we're filtering compliments, we're filtering criticism, but that we're not afraid of taking either one. but also that we're careful about what we take. Because
That's
there's,
true.
like you just said, there's people online that, as I've posted your TikToks or you've posted them before, the YouTube shorts and things of that nature, people getting on there bashing, calling you a Cartheist and all this stuff. And
what is that?
It's somebody who is.
Did somebody call me
Yeah,
that?
they did. They called you Cartheist.
What does that mean?
But it's basically just somebody who sits in their car and gives theology. Like
that's a thing.
Yeah,
that's a word. That's what I do.
Yeah, I know. Apparently that's like a whole trend. Apparently,
yeah.
and they don't like it.
Oh.
So people don't like Cartheists apparently. But
Did I start that trend?
I don't know. The people who don't like
I
Cartheists
didn't
are the people who don't go to church. So
Yeah.
it's not real.
But
again,
but I'm not in a church.
right? But you're filtering that. If they don't go to church, then
Cartheist.
what reason do they have to tell you anything about anything that you are or what you do? But I think it's just important to again be careful about who you're accepting that feedback from, because you have people out here calling you things on Facebook or YouTube or TikTok or whatever, and there's famous people out there. I talk about John Chris a lot because I listen to his podcast a lot, but he talks about how he has to just let it go. Like he sees comments online, people talking bad about his videos, or and I think there are people out there who maybe they create content, they created something, and somebody talked bad about it. That doesn't mean you should give up. And it goes back to that consistency we talked about towards the very beginning. You have to be consistent. You have to put out your passion, put your passion out there. Be consistent about it, and eventually, if you're really consistent about it, you're going to see results.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you're going to be a million views. You're not going to have 100,000 followers. I'm not saying that. Not that it's not possible. But again, it depends on what your level of success is, what success means to you. But what's important is doing what you're passionate about. If Keenan is passionate about being a Cartheist in the car and just having fun, putting videos out there, encouraging people, it doesn't matter how many views he gets. He loves what he does because he may encourage one person. But if you're out there and you're doing the same thing because you're trying to get views, you're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to see the same results because you're just out there trying to get views.
Yeah.
And he does it because he's trying to encourage people. He's trying to motivate people. He's trying to bring people into the church, trying to bring people into the kingdom of God. And he still makes people mad. but I mean, it's just so many people out there, right? Yeah, being a Cartheist, he's not going to let that go.
I'm not. I learned something tonight. I did.
Yeah, Cartheist. Yeah, I didn't even know what it was. I had to look it up.
Did you look it up?
Yeah, I had to look it up. It was like, what the heck is that?
Is that in Webster's?
No, it's probably Urban Dictionary.
I'm looking right now.
But yeah, so I mean, again, just being able to filter the compliments, and again, if God has given you a compliment, and I like to say that the trials that I face, the tribulations that I go through, the fights that I'm in, the storms that I'm in, all of those are compliments from God, because they're saying that, hey, I believe in you. You're strong enough to handle this. You're strong enough to overcome this, and you're going to do greater and more wonderful things than you feel like you can do right now. And I think it's just important for us to see those things. He probably looked it up. He's laughing now. But I think it's important for us to see our trials, see our tribulations. And I always say, we flip the script on it, say, that this trial, this tribulation is a good thing because it's going to teach me, it's going to grow me, it's going to encourage me, it's going to motivate me. And then I'm going to use what I went through, and I'm going to say, God got me through it. He can get you through it as well. And I think that's something very important for us to utilize. I'm sorry.
I am enamored with this now. I'm involved. I'm here for the party. I'm not going to lie about it. A Cartheist, a person who films in their car YouTube videos, which, first off, I do TikToks. There's a difference.
I mean, I put them on YouTube.
Sorry. Well, there you go. Yeah. Well, there you go. A person who films in their car YouTube videos which espouse, defend, or attempt to justify religion. A vertical video is optional but frequent. What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, I don't know.
So
Cartheists aren't doing horizontal landscape videos.
Yeah, I mean, what is? Wow, man, that's a thing, I guess.
So if you're listening to this, we may not be Cartheists if you're watching this on YouTube. Because we're horizontal.
I was going to say we're landscaping, right? Yeah, we're landscaping this whole situation, man.
As much as we're hoping it does.
This is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I learned some stuff tonight, man. I feel more involved now.
I mean, you learn something new every day.
Yeah, man, and that's what. But like, to me, the results are going to be directly connected to the work that you put in. I think is really what we're trying to say with all of this. The work that you put in, it's going to be shown off at some point in time. You're going to start seeing results. With just personally speaking, with our podcast again, 37 different countries, whatever. That is amazing for some small town people. With we talked about our viewership again with our church services, 3 to 4 times more. I mean, like 3 to 4 times more. That is amazing to me over the last 6 months. our YouTubes, our viewership on there. Again, it's all in the level of success that you deem successful. So, if you're getting 10 views and you're up to 50, that's 5 times more than what you were getting before. You have to start looking at success like that. It is a step, it is progress in the right direction. And, you're moving, you're continuing to move forward. And that's what it's all about. To say this from Sunday, and I've always believed this, a lot of people stay stuck in rain because they never want to move.
There with that umbrella,
very, very, very much common sense right here, ladies and gentlemen. But if you move, I don't care if you go up, down, left, right, doesn't really matter to me. But if you move in a direction and you keep moving, sooner or later you will outrun the weather. You will outrun the rain. You will outpace the storm. And oftentimes it never stops raining in your life because you never start moving. And in order for you to experience sunshine, because I promise you, somewhere in the world the sun is shining, and for you to experience sunshine.
Sorry to everybody in the desert.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, sometimes you got maybe you need to go to some rain, go to Seattle. But like in order to experience difference, you have to be able to move, and that's where I really think the division of success and failure comes into play at. The people who are going to be successful, the things that are going to be successful, comes from people who are not afraid to move, who are not afraid to take a chance, to take an opportunity and say, God has, we say this a lot in pulpits, in churches, God made you and created you for such a time as this. Well, the problem becomes, what time? You know what I'm saying? Like, we always sit back and we're like, what time? When? What such a time as this? Well, this means such a time as this means right now. So if God has created you for the right now and for this moment, then you know what you need to do? You need to get off your lazy hind end. You need to get up. You need to take the reins of your life and you need to start moving and you need to start going and you need to start doing and you need to start being passionate about it and you need to let that passion reflect your results. The more work you put in, the more dedicated you become, the more headstrong that you become in it, you will succeed. I don't care what it is. I don't care in what area of life it is. Do it physically, financially, emotionally, spiritually. Become more headstrong about it, and you will see success from it.
Yeah, and you don't have to do something crazy. I think and you talked about this Sunday, about going door to door knocking and saying, hey, we're starting service up here, on this Sunday, coming at this time, all that kind of stuff. To some people that's going to be, absolutely not. I'm not going to be Jehovah's Witness. But like, I think it's just important, for us to know that, moving may just be as simple as moving your finger from where it's at to the share button and sharing a message, sharing this podcast, sharing, some spiritual, something, some encouragement, something out there that can help other people. It's so simple, just, a quick little motion and you're already on your phone anyway. You shared, what did you say, like 37 cat recipes?
Cat recipes? What is a cat recipe?
I was kind of going to combine, like cat posters and, cat videos along with.
I hate cats. Cats are from the third level of hell.
Cat recipes for Keenan. He probably cooks them. But I
have ate a lot of Chinese food.
Yeah, hopefully P is not listening. But anyway, and Chinese people are listening. But I think it's, again, just important to know that, you don't have to do something dramatic. You don't have to do something drastic unless God has told you to do that.
Right.
Then you have to be obedient and do that. You can't just shortchange yourself. You can't go in a different direction like Jonah, or you're going to end up in a freaking whale. Like, you can't do stuff like that. You have to make sure you're obedient to God.
Yeah.
But, sometimes being obedient is just taking a small step and encouraging yourself, building yourself up to doing something, like starting in a church, maybe you want to, teach kids, but you're afraid to teach kids. So you start vacuuming, you start sweeping, you start getting garbage, you start, coming in early, turning the lights on, greeting people. You start building yourself up to being able to teach. I tell that all the time, like I was never the type of person who would be able to stand on a stage and talk to a group of people. Like, it was never, ever, ever even in my wheelhouse. I never thought I'd be able to do it. And and then just a few Sundays ago, I was able to preach to the whole congregation. And it's just like, there's so many things, that again, people don't see what it took to get me from where I was to that moment. How many times I had to make myself uncomfortable. I had to talk to people I didn't really want to talk to or didn't feel comfortable talking to.
Yeah.
How many times I had to push anxiety aside. How many times I had to pray. How many times I had to get strength from God. How many times, I had to, get put in jobs that I never thought I'd have, where I was teaching in front of kids every day, which is, again, something I never thought I would do. And again, there's just so many different things that, it takes doing that. And those super small, simple steps, can eventually build up into great things. I may start here, I was helping with the trash, helping clean the bathrooms, and, I would help with the soundboard, and now I'm helping with cameras, now I'm teaching youth, and now I'm preaching on some Sundays. Like, there's just so many different things that,
you clean the bathrooms?
I did a little bit. Don't tell Julie.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's fine. Again, just some people, though, they do, those small, simple steps will help encourage them, help them get from where they are to where they can be.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, doing those consistent steps consistently, consistently getting better, consistently growing, consistently, challenging yourself and moving forward. And eventually you're going to achieve greater things than you even thought possible.
Yeah.
And again, I've seen it in my life. Keenan's seen it in his. There's so many people that I've seen. We all have so much untapped potential. It's just up to us to take hold of the key and unlock the door that leads to it.
Absolutely.
But I mean, again, it takes action on your part. You can't sit there and do nothing, which a lot of people across a lot of churches are doing every single Sunday, every single Wednesday, every single digital service they watch. Like, they're just sitting there doing nothing.
Yep.
And that's not going to get you anywhere. That's not going to advance the kingdom of God. That's not doing your godly duty. That's not doing anything that's going to be beneficial to anyone. You have to put in work. Faith without works is dead. You have to do stuff. You have to put it out there. You have to move in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. And if nothing else, you can become a Cartheist.
Absolutely. It's not that hard. He just sits in his car and he talks to the camera.
Make sure you do it
vertical video.
Yeah, vertical
That's
videos.
The future, baby.
Absolutely. So that's a thing. We love you, man, so much. Thank you for helping make People Suck, Love Them Anyways a success in our eyes.
This is our 100th episode, by the way. I don't think we've said that yet.
Yeah, we did.
Did
yeah,
we?
absolutely.
I don't know, did we?
Yeah, I did, man. You just don't listen to me.
Probably not.
Nobody does.
No.
Except for the people who call me a Cartheist.
Yeah.
Anyways.
They listen for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. But nonetheless, we love you guys so much. Thank you for celebrating with us. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for getting the word out. And, as we continue, man, just to pump out episode after episode, we always look forward to making things bigger, to making them better. And so, our dream, our goal, our vision, man, is to one day have a studio, to one day to be able to do this, whether it be maybe daily. I mean, who knows, man, just to be able to do this.
Like Russell Johnson on, get Joel Osteen on.
Yeah.
We're going to talk to all kinds of people.
We're going to talk to, whether you like them,
Tell
whether
them
you don't, whether you agree with them. Whether you agree with them, whether you
call them
don't.
Cartheists.
Yeah, whatever, man. We'll get the number one Cartheist in the world in here and be able to do it. So that's our dream. That's our vision. That's our goal, man, to reach as many people as we can for the glory of Jesus. So we thank you for your support, and we love you. We thank you so much. And until we see you again, be blessed.